By 1971, the members of English pop psych legend Skip Bifferty had drifted into several ventures, one of them being Ark. And from the singular Ark album At This, the track Great Lager Street. Okay, getting really fast, really brisk, kind of coming out of nothing almost. Just an initially just formative key center that is just starting to take shape. Two chords, basically. I love how the bass is just kind of doubling up, just playing like this run of notes in a single key, and then while the guitar is just kind of almost fracturing right above it, and then that piano comes on and just accents. Two chords right here, yeah. Okay, where have I heard that cadence before? I've heard that in many places. Da 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 da. Yeah. Oh, now that is quite a bit of filigree there, interlocking with one another, several instruments playing notes. Octave, yeah, going up to the really high end of the fretboard, yeah, playing against the piano. This is unique. Oh, I just love the staccato, like that frantic nature of that descent we just heard. And yeah, I was getting kind of like, oh, in a way, quite original, maybe a bit of Flash. Yeah, Peter Banks's Flash. In just the really kind of tight, interlocking staccato filigree.
Take a walk down Great Lager Street. You mind your meat. Eat some of a crumbly pie.
This album does have a lot of passages that go from really like loud, kind of brisk, to really like becalmed, quiet, almost like silent, like in a few like fleeting moments.
Stop and greet some old creep in that street. Shake his sweaty hand. How are you?
I guess lyrics just about a slice of life on Lager Street.
Lava flava gremlin in some poor Molly's eye. Eat some meat, Masaka. Thank the Lord you do not die.
I'm thinking it might be about alcoholism.
Lord, you do not die. The Lord, you do not die. Your hair I will leave. I still like it fair.
Appreciate the smooth bass line underneath that like acoustic plucking we got now. It's almost like they had like two different song ideas and just kind of stitched them together in a way. This is so unrelated to the first minute or so. A new theme is emerging, yeah. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. No, I do recall that from the beginning. Yeah, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that I was hearing a variation of those notes. Oh, I like that sound. That kind of fuzzy electric piano.
Walking slinky chinky, eat and ask for more. Just stick on to your morals and won't get very far.
I'm thinking like Lager Street. I'm thinking it's about like a pub and pub dwellers, and maybe one of them kind of just getting into the kind of down the booze track.
Won't get very far. You won't get very far away from here's the place where I was born.
You won't get very far. Maybe it's just about being kind of a dead ender. It's about never really escaping the street you grew up on. The like always passing the pub every day that you've passed by as a teenager, that you've and just gravitating towards the same places, decade after decade.
Don't belong here. Yes, you do. I don't belong here. Yes, you do. Oh, I don't belong here.
To hear him say, "I don't belong here," so there's a part of him that really wants to get out of this small town, part of him that wants to break the mold.
Yes, I do.
Now, you could say that was kind of a through composed track. I mean, because we had that part for like the first minute that never really came back. It just it wound up, it ascended, and just kind of exploded and descended, and just faded to silence. And then we had this kind of slow, somewhat, kind of for a while anyways, kind of structureless section of like becalmed acoustic little bits and bass and vocals just kind of emerging, moaning, rising from the quiet, from the fog, and then gradually a theme started to emerge, and then there was just a bit of recollection of some of the early thematics, just slightly, but it just kept on going forward. It took on, it went from being really about tight interplay at first to being this oblique lyrical vignette in which it was more just about the kind of slow, sort of depressive mood rather than about anything in particular, be it melody, be it it really does sound like they had like two or three ideas on the table, or maybe what I think with quite a few of the songs on this album, they may have had like, who knows, it may have been like the Def Leppard approach where they write like 60 different song parts, they put them all on a table, and then they say, oh, this part will go with this part will go, or this part will make like a good bridge with this, which could make the chorus, with this, which could make a middle eight, and then this right here could make like a good middle eight for this track, and except in the case of this Ark album, they're not following the ABC format. It's just kind of like A, B, C, D, E, her. Yeah, that one seemed to just go kind of like A, B, C, D. Yeah. Yeah, that was Ark with Great Lager Street from their 1971 album At This, their singular album as a standalone entity. Later the same year, they would reunite with their former colleague from Skip Bifferty, Graham Bell, the vocalist, and put out another album, Bell and Ark. More kind of an rustic rock vein. Let's hear another track from this Ark album, Sophie's Cat. folksy vibe here. One of the more strum along, kind of easygoing pieces. Less cumbersome or like fractious than a lot of the material on the album, I must say. That although that's a compliment in a unique way because I really like the original approach to music making on this album.
Sophia's cat once asked if I was finding life too hard to get by.
I like the soft, kind of tender vocals here, for given the suitable for the subject anyway.
I said I don't know what's eating me. I'm glad you asked, 'cause it was upsetting me.
Oh, I just love that keyboard. How the vocal melody and the note it landed on converged with that key landing. I heard a major seventh there for a moment. Yeah, and I like how his voice is like flaring up like that. There's some of that on the album too, like just going from like really the depths and just quiet depths to just like suddenly like that. Hear that wood block. And appreciate that bass. It's maybe not. It's not necessarily crisp or defined. It's just kind of smooth, kind of like filling out the low ends. But it's really responsible for a lot of the sonic thickness.
I took her small right paw in mine.
Sumptuous acoustic guitar. I think we're hearing two at once.
Told her I'd like to be feline.
Oh, going into those far chords like E flat.
I said meow when pricked up my whiskers.
Pick up my whiskers. I guess maybe spoken from the point of view of the cat.
Said a girl not unlike my sister.
Well, that was some interesting bit of harmonic convergence.
I don't know just what's happening to me. I feel I am, but know that I shouldn't be.
Oh, that landing once again, yeah. The way the note the vocal lands on in relation to the landing key with that major seventh, yeah.
Sophia's cat.
Introduction of piano, very very complimentary to the arrangement.
I don't know just what's happening to me. I feel I am, but know that I shouldn't be.
Oh yeah, my favorite part of the song. Know that I shouldn't be, and that the key that lands on right there as he says "be."
Sophia's cat.
I love the way the piano is now accenting the melody. That was Sophie's Cats by Ark from the album At This, the singular album by the band comprised of two members of Skip Bifferty, Micky Gallagher and guitarist John Turnbull, along with drummer Dave Trudex and a bunch of drummers filtered through the band. David Montgomery plays drums on this album. Yeah, they had several drummers. And bassist Tom Duffy. Yeah. Tom Duffy, I guess, showed up in Lindisfarne circa 1973-74. And Gary Wright's Wonder Wheel. Interesting. And let's see. Micky Gallagher. Well, a few more things about Skip Bifferty, about Ark. If I was to describe Ark's sound with a banal simile, I would call them like a cross between Flash and Family. They've got that really, at times, frenetic interplay and kind of abrupt sequencing of song sections as Peter Banks's Flash. Like I'm thinking of tracks like Dreams of Heaven, Children of the Universe, and like I did one of their tracks some months ago. And also kind of that barroom element of Family, that kind of barroom raunch of Family, who also could be kind of abrupt in their sequencing at times. Although I wouldn't compare the vocals here at all to Chapo or to the guy in Flash. What was his name? Colin Carter. Funny enough, it's interesting how this is kind of like once removed from Spooky Tooth, considering that Ark's precursor, Skip Bifferty, had a sound very similar to early Spooky Tooth, like the '68 era first album. And so, and let's see, Micky Gallagher, the keyboardist, who he later turned up in Ian Dury's Blockheads, and then became a fifth wheel of The Clash on their 1980 London Calling tour. And John Turnbull subsequently went into the rustic rock band Glencoe that put out 2 albums circa 72, 73. Basically, Skip Bifferty put out an album, a few singles and an album in 1968, and then changed their name to Heavy Jelly for one monster single in 1969. Kind of a landmark, and that was one of like the longest singles ever released on a 7-inch at the time, like over 6 minutes long. Kind of like in the Hey Jude sort of vein, like epic rocker. And then vocalist Graham Bell joined Brian Davidson's former Nice drummer Every Which Way for one album in 1970, while 2 of the members of Skip Bifferty did this album, Ark, at this. And then Graham Bell reunited with the Ark guys, and they recorded that Bell and Ark album, and then they kind of all went separate. Graham Bell just recorded solo and kind of disappeared. These guys, what's interesting is that most of the Skip Bifferty family managed to maintain these kind of significant, like mid-profile bands and projects over like a 10 to 12 year period. And it was amazing how most of them managed to stay afloat. Yeah. Ark, one of many great one-offs, or you could say 1.5-offs if you really want to count Bell and Ark as the same exact entity. Of the early 1970s, 1971, another jam-packed year on the English music scene. Many great one-offs, many great bands that were debuting and would go on to release many albums. I mean, you can just read kind of an abstract of it all on the directory, 1971, For Every Day a Good One. Yeah. For more Rubies and Sapphires from the Ark album, see the directory of albums by English A artists linked in the description below. For Red Hot Tracks and Purples from this album, and then go to the other letters in the directory to see the Reds and cue them up at your own leisure, get into the albums, on your own time. of like Skip Bifferty in the S directory, Bellinark in the B directory, Glencoe in the G directory, and then some of the other things that they were involved in. You know, Ian Dury and the Blockheads in the I directory. Yeah, soloists are alphabetized by their first name. That's just the way the I kind of works on the internet. Yeah. Like and subscribe, follow me on social media, and share the video, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about the two tracks we just heard, the layers, the interplay, the intensity, the density of certain passages, the subtlety of certain other passages, the lyrics, if you have any observations about them that I may have missed. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear-traveled Tremaximist, signing off.